好，同学们，好，同学们，我们都在轰轰烈烈的站起来，站起来。Welcome to the 266th edition of China Now with your gang of two, Nam Su, who is the senior investigative reporter for Epoch Times, and Michael Olson, who was told in no uncertain terms to stay away from China by the great helmsman himself, Mao Zedong. Each week, Nansu and I look out across the broad expanse of the Pacific Ocean from our home port here at SantaCruzVoice.com, and we ask, China now, friend or foe, war or peace? Ni hao, Nansu.
Hi, pretty good, Michael. Here you go again.
Here we go. Let's roll. Hey, lots of juicy, appetizing rumors to start the show off today. And though they are just rumors, we wonder. First of all, there's the rumor that the Prince Group's Xingrui is said to have been captured at a remote Mongolian checkpoint on the road to Russia. Now, this would be a very big thing if such was indeed the case, but we don't really know if it's indeed the case because it's a rumor.
Was
And the
that
case,
Chen himself or what?
pardon?
Was it Chen himself
It was said to be Xingrui himself.
in
All alone.
Mongolia?
Yeah, he was all alone in a SUV off-roader and heading through a remote checkpoint that only goat herders use or something like that. And there he was. So it was said, and this rumor was placed on this public table in this really cool AI video. So they had everything made up to look exactly like the rumor that they were putting on the table. And they had a SUV with all kinds of
See,
extra gas
nowadays you
cans
cannot
on
even trust the video anymore
it. You
with
don't
the
even
AI
need
or
it anymore,
everything.
right?
Mm.
But anyway, it was said that they captured a backpack in which he had computers and satellite phones and all of the keys to his digital kingdom. The interesting thing about this presentation, was that they maintained that Zhengzhi's still maintained control of the digital wallet in which there are $5 or $15 billion worth of Bitcoin stashed. But that doesn't
I
make
thought
any.
that it was seized by the U.S. government
Well,
already.
that's what I thought too. So this is an interesting rumor, and that was one thing that convinced me that it's just an interesting rumor. But the interesting thing that the rumor posed, a very good question. If indeed the Mongolians captured Zhengzhou at a remote village, who should they turn him over to? China or the U.S.?
Well, that's interesting, right? That's in Mongolia. Well, I don't know. I can't tell. It's in Canada. I'm pretty sure they're going to turn him to U.S. government. But in Mongolia, boy,
Yeah, hard to tell who they would turn him over to. But if the Mongolians did capture him, I'm sure that both the CCP and the U.S. DOJ would love to get their hands on him. If indeed he has the key to the wallet that they don't have the key to. But everything we've learned, even from the official press release from the U.S. DOJ, suggested that the DOJ had its hands on the $15 billion worth of bitcoins. And of course, we should preface all of this by suggesting to the people that Chen Zhe is the head of the Prince Group, which is probably one of the world's biggest scam operations operating out of Cambodia. They had prison-like call centers in which, I don't know, reports suggested up to 100,000 people were forced to abide in these call center prisons and call people up all over the world and talk them out of their money. So they were doing a great job of talking people out of their money, and that is the money that is been suggested to be in those digital wallets, but who knows? But if they did indeed catch Chen, that would be a significant victory for the world, I think.
Uh-huh.
What do you do with all that money now? So that's going to be a big question, is that if they indeed catch him or not. Here's the second really fun rumor for you. We all know how much Nansu likes rumors. Not. So this rumor suggests that General Zhang Youxia himself is said to have stood up at a recent Politbureau meeting chaired by Xi Jinping himself and called out Politbureau member Ma Xingrui, saying, "You don't have any right to be here." At which time the doors opened, a fully armed military unit came in and arrested Ma Xingrui. Now, when this happened, Xi Jinping was said to have cried out, "No, no, don't do this here, not now." And part of that reason may have been that Ma Xingrui was a close confidant and associate with First Lady Beng Li Yuan. Now, have you heard anything about that rumor?
There was last week rumor. It's been there for a week. Yeah.
So it is a rumor. I don't know if it's a rumor or it's true or not, but evidently he has disappeared. Ma Xingrui has disappeared from the scene, and that's that.
Yeah, there was the marching rate has not shown up in front of the public ever since I believe June, late June was the last time his
Wow.
appearance to the public, and he was one of the Politburo member of one of the 24 top circle.
Mhm.
Uh, and he was removed from his general secretary of Xinjiang province. Xinjiang province is the province of Uyghurs area.
Right.
So he was removed from Xinjiang party secretary position, and when the announcement was made, it was saying that his future position will be assigned later. So that was back in June. So he left Xinjiang. And last week, that was actually a couple weeks ago when the rumors started going around saying he was under investigation. He has been investigated for some sort of corruption.
Mhm.
And last week, he's the deputy secretary, party secretary of Xinjiang province was also removed. So which make it looks like there was some sort of investigation going on. Well, that's about it.
That's about it. The other thing that was interesting about him was
That's
that he was,
why I talk about it's the everything I talk about was from the official media, from the
that's
state.
from the official state media.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other thing that's interesting about him was that he was one of the leaders of the rocket force, and he was an engineer that helped develop a lot of the space weapons. That
He was from the defense industry.
yeah.
Yeah, originally. Yeah, he was originally from defense industry. He was promoted to the deputy secretary position of Canton province, and later became the governor of Canton province. And then from there, he was promoted to his party secretary position of Xinjiang province. So that's how he was. When he was promoted to the party secretary position of Xinjiang province, and that's how he got himself into the Politburo. He became one of the 24 Politburo members.
It seems like he should have stayed in his business of building rockets instead of getting into politics.
Who cares? So there was a lot of internal struggle going on between different factions
Yeah.
of a communist party under Xi Jinping. All these 24 bureau members of Politbureau, all each of them was handpicked by Xi Jinping. But however, even though they were all handpicked by Xi Jinping, they all have a lot of struggles back and forth among themselves. So
That's an interesting word, Nantu, because I think it was one of Mao's words and Mao's concepts for the revolution would be an internal struggle.
yep.
So I remember that word from my studies in Chinese language and literature. But Mao was
Yeah,
always,
Mao said outside of a party, there is a party there is a party outside of a party. There are factions inside the party.
mhm. So it's always a matter of struggle, and that's what we do. So we're always struggling. And it would seem, given the number of people we've seen cashiered over the past 2 years, there'd be a lot of struggle going on. Well,
Well, that's why I'm saying that Xi Jinping trying to turn the Communist Party ideological machine back to Tiananmen Mao's time, while what's facing him is like the generations of Communist Party officials from 30s to 60s. Um, Several generations of party officials. They all climb up the power ladder um, under the big picture of market economy. And while at the same time that the China's economy is going really bad every day, worse and worse every day, so, all these people have a resistance to Xi Jinping's, the way Xi Jinping leading towards to. So they have a resistance, and they are the ones that have to deal with the daily operation.
they
The
have to
daily
face the
operation needs
people, right?
money. They don't have money, so there was a lot of dragging of different directions going on, and plus there was different factions, power struggle going on. So that's what's going on in China right now.
Nonetheless, we move on to a story from our friend Antonio Graceffo, who's talking about how the CCP is accelerating its push for a world-class military by expanding AI, robotics, unmanned systems, and autonomous weapons under the AI Plus initiative, which links military civilian technology directly to the modernization of the People's Liberation Army. And we should point out before we go on that the People's Liberation Army does not belong to China at all. It belongs to the Chinese Communist Party. So whenever you hear People's Liberation Army, it's really the Chinese Communist Party's Liberation Army. Fair enough?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. So Antonio Graceffo points out the fact that China is doing everything it can to accelerate its military capability by incorporating everything, every innovation that comes in, regardless of where it comes in from a university in Boise, Idaho. That's fine, we'll take it. It's using everything it can to rapidly expand this new digital warfare that we're going into. And I guess what it is a an acceleration of what they've always been doing in a total unrestricted warfare, in that every weapon that they can come up with is a weapon for the state, right?
Oh yeah. Whatever they do, it's all for the Communist Party itself. That's the only organization this military of China it's really loyal to.
So we point that out because it appears as though the CCP, Chinese Communist Party, is doing everything in its power to accelerate the capability of its power militarily. And so that's what we have to consider as we look at the CCP and China itself. They are a competitor and they're out to win the war with whatever means that they have at their disposal, which seems to be quite substantial. So Antonio Graceffo puts that on the table as a way of looking at China this week. And then we move on to the Chinese Communist Party's jets lock on Japanese jets. So, as we all know, there's been a significant amount of tensions between China and Japan after the Japanese Prime Minister suggested that a CCP attack on Taiwan would be a direct threat to Japan. Now, for some reason, that really seems to upset the CCP. Why would they be upset about that remark, which is obviously true?
Well, CCP always look at Taiwan as the last resort that if they worry about their ruling power, they can always start a war with Taiwan so that they will turn the internal tension to the outside, right? So that's their last resort to control the power. Now the Japanese Prime Minister Takaichi said, "Well, if you invade Taiwan, then Japan is going to intervene militarily." So that make well, first of all, before that actually happened, but just by saying that, uh, Japanese the brave Japanese prime minister really make Beijing lost their face, right? It's like, all of these years, they say, the war recognized. That's what the CCP telling their own people, telling the people living in China, generations of them. They told them that Taiwan is a province of China, of the CCP, the Republic of China.
All right.
uh, right. U.S. say Taiwan is a part of China, but we never recognize Taiwan as a part of the People's Republic of China, the Communist China, right? In the cultural or geographical or historical sense, Taiwan is a part of China. That's what U.S. recognizes, but we never recognize Taiwan is a part of the Communist China. So now, and then after the statement was made by the Japanese Prime Minister, Beijing was entirely
See?
entirely, they all went courageous. It's been like ever since. So that was November 7th, right?
Yeah.
Immediately after Takaichi say that, then first of all, we talked about that before, right? That the Chinese consul general in Osaka basically made a statement that he's going to chop off the head of Japanese prime minister, right? That's
That's
and then
interesting
they
diplomatic talk, don't you think? I'm gonna chop her head off.
yeah. So now then they have and then they in the last couple of weeks, China sent off over 100 naval warships all around the entire uh, region, from East China Sea to Japan Sea to Taiwan Strait to the South China Sea near the Philippines. They've been doing that, naval drill for a couple more than close to half a month now.
Yeah, and
Um,
last time we were speculating, last show we were speculating on the fact that they might do another circumnavigation of Australia.
Yep.
wondering where they're going. Do we know
Well,
where they're going?
they do have a small flotilla that's going towards to the direction of Australia, and then we don't know when they are going to reach that, or what's the actual destination of that the field warships of Chinese Navy.
So we don't know where they're going, but we know they're going there and they're making a lot of noise. And this story that we have took place when a confrontation of two Chinese J-15 fighter jets allegedly aimed their radars at Japanese F-15 fighter jets near Okinawa. Now, I was in an airplane in the South China Sea when the Vietnamese locked their radar on the airplane in which I was flying, and you could hear it beep 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 beep, and I suspect that was what happened. So when you lock your fire control radar on an opponent's airplane, that means you have a fix on a firing solution, and you're ready to push the button, launch the missile or the bullets or something and shoot them down. So the Japanese jets were hearing this beep 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 and realized that the Chinese had them locked in a firing solution. Now, of course, the Japanese Defense Ministry objected and saying, "What are you doing?" Well, do you think they got a response from the CCP, Nansu?
Well, anything, uh, any response from Chinese or from Beijing's or um, any official response from Beijing, it's all provocative. So you won't hear anything good from Beijing right now.
Because they're in a tiz and they're going to let the whole world know that they're in a tiz, and that's that. You know, for years we've been talking about Taiwan, and as we have through the years, um, I used to think that its principal value to the Chinese Communist Party was its strategic position, um, kind of like a cork in a bottle to the South Pacific. If they can get the cork rid of the cork, then they'll have access to the whole world. But I'm increasingly coming to the conclusion that the most frightening thing about Taiwan to the Chinese Communist Party is that it serves as a model for what China could be without the CCP.
Well, it's not that. It's just that's a part of it, but it's not just that. Also it's just because uh, that China, all the first generation communist leader, they were part of Taiwan's government in the 1920s, right?
Right?
So they say Taiwan is a, Taiwan's government is a part of the communist China, and but actually, all the first generation Communist Party leader, they were all part of the Taiwan's government, and they were the rebellers. They rebelled, and they kicked them out, kicked the Taiwan's government from mainland to Taiwan, and also the Chinese government always Communist Party always trying to tell Chinese population that democracy is a system that doesn't quite fit, in China's culture, into Chinese culture. But look at Taiwan,
But you
right?
look
But
at Taiwan, and Taiwan gives the lie to the Chinese Communist Party. And therefore, if you want to frighten the Chinese Communist Party, all you have to do is point to how well things are going in Taiwan and how well they could go in China without the Chinese Communist Party. With that, we're going to take a quick break. This is China Now with your gang of two, Nansu and Michael Olson, of course, you. So please do stay tuned. We will be right back after these important messages.
Attention content producers. You can have access to a complete digital media production facility at Satellite Co-working and Digital Media Studio on Socal Avenue. Easily rent video and audio equipment, a studio with green screen, editing suite, and audio booth, all at can't say no rates. Schedule a tour to see for yourself at satellitecoworking.com. Mention Santa Cruz Voice for 20% off your first reservation.
Cannabis is one of nature's most beneficial plants. Hello, I'm Jenna. Treehouse Dispensary, we use information about cannabis to build community. Listen to Xavier.
Thank you, Jenna. For those suffering joint pain, Treehouse suggests trying a CBD THC topical like the Balance Salve from local Santa Cruz company, Jade Nectar. Then enjoy the relief.
For answers to your cannabis questions, ask your friends at Treehouse Dispensary, 3651 Socal Drive in Socal, or ourtreehouse.io.
Low-cost airlines.
With one call to low-cost airlines, you'll drastically slash your travel costs. We're talking insanely low airline prices to any of your favorite destinations. The only way to get them is to call to instantly hear the most amazing best deals on airline travel. It's that easy. So call now and start packing.
800-704-1662. 800-704-1662. That's 800-704-1662.
Bring happiness into your holiday with a fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. When you light up the tree, your family's smile will last into January. Pick up your tree from the Lions Club lot at the Portuguese Hall near Costco. 2 to 7 weekdays, 10 to 7 weekends. While they last. Bring happiness into your holiday with a fresh and fragrant Lions Club Christmas tree. All proceeds go to helping those in need in Santa Cruz.
China Now, with your gang of two, Nansu and Michael Olson. Going right back to the question of Taiwan, do you think Xi Jinping can get away without invading Taiwan? Or do you think he's got kind of locked into doing it?
I think, like I always say, that, Xi Jinping will not make that decision until, the CCP's ruling power is really challenged. Basically, that means, inland China is out of control. So, when the economy going down, and there's all the internal struggles going down, the social tensions went up to the roof. By the time their they really feel that their ruling power is challenged, that they cannot keep, the stability of mainland China. That will be the point that they're going to start the war. I don't think, you just look at the risk. There's tremendous risk if they want to take actions to invade Taiwan. Taiwan, it's not just a small river. Taiwan is like 100 miles of Taiwan Strait, right? And every year you only have like 6 months, from months of April to September. So April, May, June, July, August, September. It's about 6 months. The water, it's not that hostile, and you can sail smoothly, because they will need a lot of time. They to sail from China's coast to Taiwan's coast. That's going to like 6 to 7 hours. There's plenty of a time for Taiwan to launch their defense attack to protect themselves, and just send out a bunch of mines. Those mines in the water. So it's going to tremendously delay their amphibious effort. So there was tremendous risk I don't think they're actually going to do it until they feel they
To
have
do
to
it.
do it to switch the tension
To,
from inside to outside.
to save the Chinese Communist Party.
Yep,
They will do it.
yep.
Do you think that's true? You think that they would, in order to save the Chinese Communist Party, they would invade Taiwan and
Well,
pretty
I
much
don't
lay
think
waste?
that invasion. If Taiwan is not ready,
Yeah.
they can launch a full and amphibious attack invasion. I think the more they can get, the better for them to make the claim, right? To show how powerful they are. But I think a limited attack it's more possible for them, and it's
Do you think they would gain enough face to save the CCP by taking a couple of small islands?
no, it's not save the face. When they start a war, then all the Western world countries like Japan or Taiwan or United States, Europe, they're all going to move, right? The Sixth Fleet, Seventh Fleet, wherever they're going to move in the region, and then when they move in, around in the region, then the Beijing is going to operate its propaganda machine. Say, there you go. Then the imperialist military are going to attack China. So, and then they're going to use that as an excuse to trigger or to
Yeah.
activate the martial law to control the country. That's
Okay.
the bottom line.
So
They
that's real.
want their military because even in China, you can't just say, "Oh, I'm going to use the martial law to control the country." Why? For where? What's the reason? Right? So now, if they can now think about that, they don't need to actually mobilize the whole society if they start the invasion, the military action against the Taiwan. Why? You know, say if Beijing's leader want to move to forward with a military action against the Japan, they better do a lot of work to mobilize the society, right? To get everybody prepared.
Yeah.
That's
They've
what
been
they
doing a
have to
lot of that. Yeah, they've been doing a lot of that too.
yeah, yeah, they have to convince why
Anti-Japanese.
they have to attack Japan, right?
Yeah.
But but they don't need to do that if they attack Taiwan, because generations of the people living in China, they're all brainwashed that they grew up with the idea that one day they're going to take Taiwan. That's the key. Yeah. So they don't need to do any preparation before the attack. They
Okay.
can make the attack anytime, and then if they make an attack, say they take over the Kingman, that small island that's like a couple less than 2 miles from China's coastal line. That's enough for them to start the war. While later they're using the military movement of the other countries as an excuse. Then they will
Okay.
go back to activate the martial law. I think that's most likely what they're going to do. Attack. Maybe there was some not maybe more than one island, because there are several islands there now within 5 6 miles away from China's coastal line. Maybe they attack a few more, but it's very hard for me to think that they actually risk it a whole lot to really make an amphibious attack to the main islands of Taiwan, unless Taiwan is really not prepared.
Yeah.
So it's all coming from the preparation. If U.S. show U.S. government show China we do have the will, we have a strong will to stop the invasion. If Japanese government show their strong will to stop the Chinese invasion of Taiwan, if people in Taiwan and the military in Taiwan also show they have a strong will, I think the risk will go high enough. And of course, we need to do a lot of preparations, right? Put our missile there, put our warship there, put our, if possible, even put our nuclear weapons there. Just everything in there, and then they just make them think and think again. So that's very important. Peace with strength. Peace with strength. We don't have the strength, or Taiwan doesn't have the strength to protect themselves. Maybe they will actually go to Taiwan's mainland.
Yeah. So what you're putting on the table is your belief that Xi Jinping and the CCP are really triangulating here the inmates of China, as I like to call them, the citizens, the people of China, against and pitting them against the Western powers vis-a-vis Taiwan. So Taiwan's kind of like a way. It's going to provide the CCP with a way to survive
Yes, that's what it is.
in its fundamental terms.
Yep.
So if that's the question, will not the CCP be forced to invade?
Well, if Taiwan is not prepared, if the U.S. government and Japanese government say, "Hey, we don't care," I think they will do it, right? It's a calculated risk. If they figure out they can actually do it, they will do it because
Yeah.
if they can take Taiwan, there's a lot of engineers, there's a lot of semiconductor industry. They're all there, right?
Yeah.
Why, if they are able to take it with
What a prize.
fair low risk, they will do it. But
Now,
I think right now, if Taiwan's government going on in the right direction, keep in its right direction right now, they try to increase their military spends, and then their defense budget, and the U.S. government is also trying to withdraw our military from Europe and focus on the Western Pacific. And also, the Japanese government has a very strong leader. So all that together will deter their provocative behavior directly against the main island of Taiwan. But it's never going to be enough to stop them from taking a couple small islands
doing
that
something,
near the coastal line of China.
doing something to control the population,
Yep.
and that's it. Wow. So we're still fighting for, I guess, bragging rights throughout the South Pacific, and we see that in South Korea is even protesting, and South Korea has been pitching itself as kind of a friend of the CCP, and now they're complaining about the Chinese and Russian warplanes invading their space. That's your story.
Oh yeah, that's last week. Total eight military airplanes, like two fighter jets from Russian Air Force, and six of them from Chinese Air Force. They form a team. They flew into the air defense identification zone of South Korea, and South Korea have to send off their fighter jets to watching them. They cannot because military. Air defense identification zone, technically it's still outside of your sovereignty, right?
Right.
So they just have to be there, like warn them, ask them to leave. They've been there for several days before they actually left. So, and that's not the first time. They in the recent years, Chinese Air Force and Russian Air Force, they did this kind of a joint adventure, into the air defense identification zone in other countries, like near Japan, near South Korea, and one point even near Alaska, right? I believe that's July 24th of 2024. July 24th of 2024. They actually have all bombers, two Chinese bombers, Hong H6, and two Russian bombers. That's T-295. Uh,
Tupolev.
yeah, they actually flew into the air defense identification zone near Alaska. And all four of them had nuclear capabilities.
Absolutely. And they were in the ADIZ of Alaska or Japan.
Excuse me?
They were in the ADIZ of Alaska or Japan.
Uh, Last week, it was just like the day before yesterday. Russian bombers accompanied by Chinese fighter jets. They were near Japan too.
Yeah.
That's near the Senkaku Islands. Senkaku Islands, China claimed that Japan's Senkaku Islands sovereignty for a long time, which has been baseless. 1951, when San Francisco Treaty was signed, at the end of World War II, Senkaku Islands, it's a bunch of, I think it's 7 islands. Average size of each island is like less than 1 square miles. So it's a bunch of islands without any, human being living. So, but they do have oils and fish, a bunch of natural
Resources.
resources
Yeah,
in the
resources.
area. So in 1951, when the San Francisco Treaty was signed, the Senkaku Islands, or in Chinese Diaoyu Island, their sovereignty was not given up by Japan. That's very important. The treaty did not specifically mention the Senkaku Island. Instead, that the few islands of Senkaku actually was put together with Okinawa Islands and and be given to the U.S. government to manage. And later, when U.S. government sent the sovereignty of Okinawa Islands back to Japan, the Senkaku Islands was together with Okinawa Islands being given back to Japan by U.S. government. So if you look at the legal steps, one step by another step, Japanese government has the sovereignty of Senkaku Islands, not communist China. They
Yeah.
don't have the sovereignty.
Well, it seems like every square inch of that Pacific theater is under contention. It
Yep,
seems like it's
yep,
just like before World War II broke out.
yep.
Everybody is laying claims on strategic positions throughout the area, and everybody's getting ready for a monumental World War III in the Pacific. Seems like.
Well, the more we ready, the more we are
Yeah.
prepared, the less likely the war is actually going to take place. The less we are prepared, the more likely the war is going to break out.
That kind of takes us back to Vladimir Putin and his invasion of the Ukraine. Why did he invade the Ukraine the way he did? Because he thought he could get away with it.
Yep.
And he was not getting any pushback from us or from anybody else, really, was he?
Well, he took the Crimea, back in what was it, 2014. No,
Yeah.
he was not punished. So, which led him think, oh, if I can take it,
All I have
Donbass,
to do is take it and it's mine.
yeah.
Huh. And so there he is. still. And what kind of lesson do you think Putin's experience is teaching to Xi Jinping and the CCP? I mean, if they're looking at what happened to Putin and Russia in Ukraine, might be thinking, "Whoa, this is going to be a big pain in the butt. Not sure it's worth it."
Well, we don't know, right? It's really the priority will be decided. Which part will be more riskier, right? If
Right?
they figure out if they don't do it, but then the social tensions inside China grow so dramatic, and it's threatened their ruling power. They want the see ultimately the ultimate solution for the CCP to control China, it's the it's to activate the martial law, just like what they did back in during the Cultural Revolution.
Cultural Revolution,
Yeah,
sure.
during the Cultural Revolution, they activate the martial law. They send the military officials to every province, every county, every city, to take over the control of the local government, and also they send the military officials to every central government department. So they take over the entire uh, entire government from up and upside down. They manage the whole government. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yes, so once they do that, and they put their iron fist on every part of society, I think that's the ultimate way they plan to control China when things go out of hand. But they need a reason. They
Uh-huh.
can't just do that because they want to keep their ruling power, so they need a reason, a perfect reason for the people to, at least, I would say at least maybe 50, 60, I don't know, even more percentage of people believe, they're doing the right thing. So they need a reason to convince the society of China. And invading Taiwan is a perfect reason. They don't need mobilization of the society. They can
Because they've
just go
been
and do it.
mobilizing the population for years.
That's right.
It's going to be very interesting to see how all of this shakes up in the not too distant future. Because from what we've been talking about for quite some time, it appears as though the Chinese economy is in a state of collapse. And we're going to be talking about this in the next hour, uh, in a number of different stories. But it appears as though it's just not working.
That's right. Yeah,
And
they have a lot of internal problems right now. Uh, you know, I don't know what they're going to do, but that's the years of it takes years of the Western world try to convince them to change their social and political system. They never did it, and now the Western worlds are leaving, and they have the big issue, um, and nobody knows how to deal with it.
I've often made the comment or the observation or the speculation that China is really not a nation at all. It's really a prison owned by the Chinese Communist Party. And that party governs China with, it has a warden, and it has guards, and everybody else is a prisoner. And what happens in a prison when things get out of control is that they people riot, and it becomes terrifying.
Yep.
And China has been through those periods, and there's a lot of people in China who remember those periods of the Great Cultural Revolution. Um, it was going on when I was going to school and studying Chinese, the Great Cultural Revolution. So there's a lot of people there that still remember that. Um, do you think they believe they would believe a government that tells them that we have to invade Taiwan? Or do
Well,
you, yeah,
that's why, they are going to, when if they do invade Taiwan, they will have a part of the society supporting them. That's for sure. And then for the other, then there's a majority of the Chinese society, they're going to be just silent. And then there's only probably not a lot of a part of society willing to take it out, to the street to protest, and that's all they have to deal with. That's
so
what's
a
going to
relatively
happen.
few people, and everybody's under surveillance. We know where everybody's at. We know what everybody's thinking, and we control them with our digital necklaces around their neck.
And
And we can take
AI.
away their
Nowadays
food.
they have the AI, and then
Yeah,
they have the video surveillance controlled by AI, and then they have they have everything. Modern technology they took for the Western world, and they build this tremendous, like they have like a few billions of, I mean, 4 or 5 billions of surveillance video all around the country. So, they can mobilize their military very fast, to take control, of any society or any city or county. I think that um, pretty soon we are going to see that in the next 5 years. That's what I'm thinking. Before we by the time of, the first 5 years from now on to 2030, this is the very risky time of window that we're going to have war. And after that, the possibility of a war that breaks out in Western Pacific will start going down. And because their population aging very fast and the economy goes very fast, go weaker. So if we can defend Taiwan, keep the peace in the Asia for 5 years, then we're going to start seeing the possibility of war go
diminishing.
lower and lower. I think after 2035, whatever they do doesn't matter anymore. Then by that time, I don't think they even have any capacity to launch a war against
Well,
the
let's
Taiwan.
hope we can hold on for 5 more years. But
Yep.
there's a lot of things happening that put us on edge and let us know that, boy, we have to get strong, because by being strong it's our only hope, because um, predators don't respect weakness. They
Yep. That's
only
it.
respect strength. So when we come back after the top of the hour break, I'd like to put something on the table that we haven't talked about, and that's the United States versus Canada on the CCP. Whose side is Canada on? Our side or China's side? So do stay tuned for us when we come back from the top of the hour break. This is China Now with Nan Su, Michael Olson, and you. So do stay tuned.